For this discussion, I will be exploring the similarities and differences between my online and offline identities. My online and offline identities are both shaped by my values, interests, and personal traits. In both contexts, I try to be authentic in presenting myself, though the way that I communicate or express myself can be different. In examining the similarities and differences between online and offline identities, it is important to consider how impression management is carried out on both contexts. According to the textbook, a key factor that distinguishes online identity from offline identity is the ability to curate and edit content online, allowing for greater control over how one is perceived. There are notable differences in how my identities are presented online versus offline. In the offline world, interactions are generally face-to-face, and there is immediate exchange of nonverbal cues like body language and tone of voice, which provides a richer context to my emotions and intentions. However, in the online world, much of my communication is all text-based, and I have more control over how I present myself. For example, on social media, I can carefully curate the content that I share. Now, according to the research on impression management, individuals often engage in self-presentation, which is the act of controlling how others perceive us, both online and offline, but the mechanisms can differ. Online, I have more time to think through my responses and the information I share, which allows greater control over my online identity, while offline is mostly spontaneous and first impressions. Impression management plays a critical role in both online and offline lives, but the mechanisms can be different. Offline impression management is more with real-time feedback, such as body language, facial expressions, and immediate reaction in the conversations. Online impression management, on the other hand, involves curation and editing. I can carefully craft my image by selecting which photos, posts, or updates to share, and filtering out aspects of my life that might not align with how I want to be perceived. Social media platforms, for example, encourage this by allowing me to choose my best moments for public consumption, more about controlling content and timing, which can sometimes lead to less genuine self-representation. In conclusion, both online and offline identities are influenced by the same core characteristics, values, interests, and personality. The strategies for impression management in both contexts highlight these differences, with online strategies involving careful selection of content and offline strategies being more reactive and context dependent. Ultimately, neither identity is easier to manage. It each requires different skills and coping mechanisms to ensure authenticity and self-expression.